Does the scope of work matter? Steve here with the Janitorial Store, the channel where we help cleaning business owners scale their cleaning businesses with systems, tools, and resources. Well, you know, that subject really comes up quite often when I'm talking to cleaning business owners. You know, everything always comes back to the scope of work. You know, and the thing is that without a scope of work, we can't determine a price, you know, for the project that we're doing. So we always have to determine a price when we have to consider the scope of work. So for example, let's say that you got a post-construction cleanup job and the person says to you that they want a rough and a final. Okay, that's great. So we know it's a two-phase clean, but what's the scope of work as far as the rough clean? What do they want done with the rough clean? Because I've had a building contractor say that for the rough clean, all they want was a broom out. They just want us to go in there and broom things out, you know, get the big stuff, and that's it. You know, then on the flip side, I've had others where they wanted us to come in and dust and clean, remove stickers, and essentially do a final clean, pretty much so, on a rough clean. So that's why it's very, very important that we have to establish what is the scope of work for this rough clean and for the final clean. Same thing is true as if we're providing just a general reoccurring cleaning for an office space. So in that case too, we should have a standard scope of work that we do for our general cleaning. The same is true for if we're cleaning a residential, if we're cleaning homes. Doesn't matter if we're cleaning a home or apartment or townhouse. We should have a general scope of work for a general clean or maintenance clean, whatever you want to call it. But you got to have that scope of work, because now that establishes the task that we're going to do, you know, for the investment that we're going to ask the client to pay. And that's the thing too, is that it's very important that if we have our scope of work, we can review that scope of work with the prospect so they know what they're getting for their investment. So if we're going to, let's say we're cleaning a home and we're going to say, well, it's $180 per service, you know, and we're going to do a bi-weekly clean, so every 2 weeks we're going to clean the home, you know. And if we don't have a scope of work, you know, they may ask us, well, what are we doing when you come in, you know? You know, what are you doing? Are you vacuuming, mopping, dusting? Are you doing the dishes? You know, are you cleaning inside the refrigerator? What are you doing? So that's why the scope of work matters a great deal. We have to make sure that we've established our scope of work for whatever type of job that we're performing. Let it be a general clean, let it be a post-construction, strip and wax, if it's a one-time deep clean, whatever. So make sure that for every service that you offer your clients or your prospects, that you have a scope of work for that. A documented scope of work. It will save you a lot of headaches, and like I say, it's really the key for us to determine how much we're going to charge based off the scope of work that we're doing. Now, some things, what you're going to see is that every company is different, you know, as far as that scope of work. One company may have 15 items on that scope of work. Another company might have 25 items. Everybody's different. But, you know, you have to make sure that you really get in line that if we're talking a general clean, you know, this is a general clean. That doesn't mean that we're going to be doing a lot of other things, such as cleaning out the refrigerator or doing this, that, and the other, because that is typically put into a deep cleaning scope of work, not a general cleaning. So don't get too carried away on that, and remember that because you established your scope of work, your general scope of work, you're going to have your general cleaning, your deep cleaning, and so on and so forth. But we're talking general cleaning. That's where you always start at, because it's so much easier to build off of that. So when you have that, you have to remember that's where you're going to put a value to that. And just from you having your own teams doing this general cleaning scope of work, you're going to know what the production rate is. You know how many square feet they can clean per hour. So you've established your mark, which is great, because now we know that, okay, if this scope of work is generally going to take us, you know, let's say it's 800 square feet per hour when we're cleaning a house. Well, great. So now we know that whenever we're doing a standard or a general cleaning in a home, we're going to use 800 square feet per hour for our production rate. Doesn't matter how big the home is. It could be 1,000 square feet or 50,000 square feet. Doesn't matter. That is what it is. But that establishes our time to clean. So now that we have our time to clean, now we can just multiply that by our billable rate, and then that will give us our price point. Pretty simple. But that's what you want to do on any case. Doesn't matter if we're cleaning that home, or if we're cleaning an office, or if we're doing a medical center, or a manufacturing, or a retail, whatever. Always start with that general list of scope of work, and you'll be fine. Now, the thing is that you always have to be careful about adding additional tasks to that, because what will happen is that the prospect will say, well, can we have this done? Can we have that done? And it's even more so on the residential side. I've had homeowners ask, can I have the dishes washed? Or can you do this and can you do that? Well, try to keep control of that. And remember, everything that they add, the price just went up. So if I quoted $180 for that biweekly service, and now they want to add some of these tasks, well, now my price just went up. So, and that's one of the things that will be a deterrent from some of these people to continually add to your scope of work. Now, because what that is, it's called scope creep. And it happens a lot of times, and what happens is that the cleaning business owner will not add any additional fees for that extra scope of work or that extra task. So they'll think, well, that'll only take me 5 minutes, Well, you got to remember, okay, now they've asked you for 4 different things, and well, each one's only going to take me 5 minutes. Well, now we got 20 minutes added onto our cleaning time. That costs you money and costs you profits. So do not fall into that thing of scope creep by having your prospects keep adding on to your scope of work. If you do, charge them for it, because if my price went from 180 to 225 or 235 per service, you might think twice about having us do those additional things that aren't really necessary. And the thing is that now when we're talking about price shoppers, obviously everybody knows that they're looking for the lowest price. So if you have a general scope of work and we're cleaning an office, we talk to the prospect, we're giving our spiel, we did our proposal, and now they know the price, and they try to do it for a lower price. Well, even in your first conversation, you're going to know this, because you have to establish if they're a price shopper or not. But that's all you would do, is that you adjust your scope of work. So if our general list of scope of work has 15 items on it, and that's what we do, and if we're dealing with a price shopper and they want to get the lowest price they can, well, you start taking away tasks then. You have to adjust your scope of work, because we're not going to give them the 15 tasks that we normally do if they want to shorten their budget. If our price is $500 a month and they only want to spend $350, well, I'm not going to give them this for $350. I'm going to take some of them tasks away and make an adjustment and explain to them that, yeah, well, we can do that, we can match that price, but we're going to take some of these tasks away that we won't perform. We won't be performing this weekly or bi-weekly or whatever. So always keep that in mind. That's a great strategy when you're dealing with price shoppers. You always, always, always have to adjust your scope of work when you're dealing with them. So one thing too that I want to make sure of is that when you're talking about your scope of work, and I kind of talked about it earlier, just be really clear when you're talking with prospects about what the scope of work is. I see this more often when I was dealing with post-construction cleanup, because some of the building contractors, they'll say to me that they want a powder puff. What the heck's a powder puff? Or a punch list clean, or just some of these goofy names that aren't really the standard in the industry, because you normally have rough, final, and light. Those are the three main phases that you generally do, the names of the phases. So whenever you have somebody calling something a different name, a phase a different name or something, make sure you're really both clear as to what that is, and make sure that your scope of work fits that that phrase that or that name that they're giving that phrase. But that's very, very important, because there's too many times that there's issues otherwise. And if you want, you can always have a signature line on the bottom of your scope of work that the prospect agrees to. Have them sign off on it. Then we know that it's not a he said, she said type of thing. Well, you said you were going to clean the inside of a refrigerator. Well, you can remind them, well, no, here's our scope of work. You signed off on it. There's no mention of inside of a refrigerator. So anyway, those are some of the things that you have to think about. So does the scope of work matter? Oh yeah, it sure does. It matters a big deal. So keep that in mind whenever you're dealing with any of the services that you're providing. Make sure you have a scope of work for everything you do. And one thing that you can do is that on the download library of the Janitorial store, you can go there. We got bidding and estimating forms, and members got access to those. But we got just a wealth of estimating forms. We have other forms on My House Cleaning Biz that will really help you as far as scope of work and things. For your deep cleans and your general cleans, move in, move outs, and so on and so forth. So hopefully those will be helpful to you. Well, hope you got some value from this, and if you did, feel free to leave a comment or leave us a like. And if you have not already, make sure you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to get the latest updates and new videos to help you grow your cleaning business. So until next time, thanks for checking in, and keep it clean out there.